Mummies, written by Lisa Ink. Focus question: what is a mummy? What can we learn by studying the burial practice of different cultures? Words to know: afterlife, amulets, ba, cremated, decomposed, embalmers, embaling hook, hieroglyphs, immortality, incision, mummified, paper mache, resin, sacred, shrivel, talisman, tempted. Tales content. Introduction. 4. What are mummies? 5. Mummification. 6. The afterlife. 12. The burial. 15. The tomb of Tutankhamun. 17. Animal mummies. 19. Conclusion. 20. Try this. 22. Glossary. 23. Introduction. Many countries around the world today, including Egypt, people are often buried in coffins after they die. Sometimes the body is cremated. The ash either kept by loved ones or spread over area a person enjoys, such as ocean. It's not the way it always been. The ancient Egyptians turned their dead into mummies. The ancient Egyptians were famous for making mummies. They mummified everyone, to the kings to pets, by drying the bones, rubbing them with spices, wrapping them with strips of cloth. However, the Egyptians are not the only people that mummify their dead. There is evidence of mummification in many places around the world. What are mummies? A mummy is a preserved corpse. Normally, a dead body decays very quickly. Bacteria in the air start decomposing body cells immediately after death. If the body is left alone, scavengers and pets, like vultures and flies, devour the corpse. In a mummy, the decay process is arrested, and the dead body is preserved for thousands of years. First, mummification occurred naturally in areas that are too dry or cold for bacteria to grow. The bodies were preserved without human interference. Later on, people developed ways to preserve human artificially. Mummification. The first Egyptian mummies were buried in the hot desert sand, so dry that the bodies dried out almost immediately, preserving them from decaying. These dry mummies look a lot like beef jerky. Their flesh became tough and hard. Unfortunately, unprotected bodies during desert often eaten by jackals, which love the taste of human jerky. Egyptians tried to protect their buried ancestors by covering the burial site with rocks. Wealthier Egyptians buried family members in painted coffins, but the coffins, which kept out jackals, also was hot sand, and bodies inside decayed. Resourceful ancient Egyptians developed ways to preserve their body before ritual burial. When someone died, the body was given to a team of embalmers. First, the 6 embalmers laid the body face up upon a 6-foot wide embaling table. First job was to remove all the soft organ that encouraged the growth of bacteria. Carefully putting the brain through the nose with an embaling hook. Make sure not to deform the person's face. The brain was not very important to ancient Egyptians. They believed that the heart was the most important organ, and that was the center of thought and feeling. Do we know? The ancient Egyptians believed that first mummy was the god Isis, who was murdered by his brother, set and cut into pieces. His wife Isis put him in together with magic. His jackal had nephew Anubis embalmed him. Osiris then became the god of death and the underworld. The chief embaler cut an incision in the left side of the stomach. From this hole, the embaling team pulled out an internal organ except for heart and placed them on the side. Stomach, liver, lungs, and intestines were preserved individually in special jars called canopic jars. These organs accompanied the body during burial, which was not important as the heart. The heart was preserved inside the body. Embalers washed the body, inside and out, with palm oil. The alcohol in the wine killed bacteria. By this time, the body had probably begun to stink, sign of decay. Some embalers filled the body with bags of sweet-smelling spices with mixed natron, special salt. They covered the body internal organs with more natron, left it alone for 40 days. The whole mummification process took 70 days. Once the drying process had been completed, the embalers removed the salt. The mummy became very light, since all the water, which made 65% of the body's weight, had been removed. The embalers filled the entire corpse with linen stuffing, producing the body appeared strong and healthy instead of shriveled. Then they rub the corpse with more spices, mixed with wax and oil, to make the smell sweet. Next, a sticky resin of tree sap was poured over the body. When the resin hardened and formed thin, take a shell around the body. This shell protects the mummy from bacteria and cause it to become darker in color. Embalmers often applied makeup to the mummy's face to make it look more alive. Apply jewelry on a rich person's corpse before wrapping it up. The resin-soaked wrap consisted of lining, bandage, or length of football field. The wrap helped them preserve the shape of the body. The best lining was to save the outermost layer of bandage. Cheap lining was used on the inside, where it couldn't be seen. Magical charms and talismans would ensure the mummy safely to the realm of the dead. These were put between the layers of bandages. These talismans were carved out by precious stones. Steps of mummification. 1. Place the body on a large table, facing up. 2. Remove internal organs through a cut in the abdomen. 3. Wash the body with palm wine. 4. Dry the body by covering it with piles of salt. 5. Remove the salt and rub the body in sweet herbs. 6. Stuff the body with lining bags and spices. 7. Cover up the body with resin. 8. Apply makeup and jewelry. 9. Wrap the body in bandages. Do you know, in the Middle Ages, doctors in Europe described mummy powder made from ground up mummies, as they thought dummy dust would cure sick people, but it usually made them sick. The afterlife. Ancient Egyptians believed that immortality depended on having a well-preserved body. They believed that a dead person split up a moment of death into several parts: the ba, the ka, and the physical body. The ka was a person's ghost-identical twin, lived inside mummified heart, could not move in from the tomb. The ba, which represented personality and spirit of the person, was a human-headed bird that could fly around freely by the day. The ba and ka joined from the of a person's soul. The burial. Mummies were laid to rest in decorated coffins usually made of paper mache and beaded in gold. Richer people were buried in sarcophagus made of stone or a coffin of important wood. Pharaohs were buried in the 4 gold-covered coffins nested inside of each other. Coffins were painted with representatives of people's faces so that the ba could find the right tomb when it returned at night. Hieroglyphics painted or chiseled on the coffin told the story of these persons' life. These inscriptions also held spells to keep the dead person safe in the underworld. Many ancient Egyptians believed that mummies would curse anyone who disrupted their tomb and stole from the dead. Attended by treasure buried with mummies. These broke into the best guarded tombs, often tore the mummies apart, looking for the gold and gems under the bandages. They were willing to risk death and punishment for riches. Most tombs were robbed within a few years of mummy's burial. The tomb of Tutankhamun. Pharaoh Tutankhamun, also called Boy King, died when he was only a teenager. We know very little about his life or his rule in ancient Egypt. He's one of the famous mummies in the world. Tutankhamun's tomb opened in 1923, though it had been robbed twice in ancient times. King Tut's tomb held great treasure. The thief had entered the second room, which was filled with Tut's gold chariot and statue. Still had 6 of the tombs gold, but they probably interrupted before they could finish. King Tut's mummy has not been touched. King Tut was buried in a series of 3 coffins, one inside another. The first 2 coffins were made of wood covered in bands of gold. Most coffin was made of solid gold, covered with gems. Tut's beautiful burial was masked with pure gold. Heavy jewelry, bracelets, and tied his wrist. Golden amulets and necklace wrapped around his neck. Do you know the Egyptians stopped making mummies around 400 CE? By then, Christians from outside Egypt converted many Egyptians to Christianity. As a result, fewer Egyptians believed in their dead loved ones to be mummified in order to experience eternal life. Animal mummies. The ancient Egyptians mummified animals as well as people. Cats are especially sacred to the ancient Egyptians. They represented Bast, the cat-head goddess of happiness. Cats were kept as pets, and when died, the whole family shared their head and eyebrows in mourning. Cat mummies were buried with their owner at the temple of Bast. Ancient Egyptians also mummified other animals sacred as gods, such as crocodile, ibises, and falcons. These animals were sent to afterlife as offering to the gods. Conclusions. Natural mummies can be found all around the world, being cold, acidic, water marshes in Denmark, in the frozen depth of Alpine Glacier, or hot sands of desert, that have been preserved by mummies from many different cultures, from Buddhist monks to Japan tribesmen to Papua New Guinea. The Incas of Peru have oral world ancient Egyptians mummified their ancestors with the same way ancient Egyptians, or artificial natural mummification varied in some ways, in a poorer way. All mummification result in the rest of cell decay, but preserve the body for hundreds, if not thousands of years. You can learn much about ancient civilization by studying mummies and the content of their tombs. Scientists around the world of mummies in order to know how much the ancient people lived and got killed.